Worry about it.
Should have around somebody's.
Somebody coming?
Oh.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Oops.
Hi, guys.
I'll just wait for a few people to get on. The necklace always goes up like that. I'm gonna super glue it right here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yes,
That's
you
me.
do that.
Oh, we have 3 people on. Hi, Debbie Landry. We are here for our Wednesday. What are we going to call this? Wednesday what?
Well, that's a good question.
Hi,
Wacky
Jenny.
Wednesday.
Our Wacky Wednesday, because you never know what we're going to be showing. Did you see one of these bundles over there on the wall when you counted how many we had?
No, I didn't. I was looking
just
up
seen
top.
it.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay,
I know. Okay, we're going to wait for a few people to come on because we have something exciting to tell everybody, explain to everybody. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Debbie, Joan, Elizabeth, Jenny, Eleanor. Okay, so we are up to, is Joanne Shonzek made it. Yay! So we are up to enough names. We are going to explain a little bit what is going on. We are going to start a sew-along. We're going to start a sew-along. I'm not sure. Twyla's probably going to be telling me what to do every week, right?
It's going to be great.
Yeah. So Twyla's going to show us how to cut certain blocks, techniques for certain blocks, and I'm going to be sitting there at the sew machine, and she's going to tell me what to do. So as she's teaching it, I am going to be sewing it, because I've never made this quilt before. It is a quilt. What size is it, Twyla?
64 by, I don't want to look too much here. 64 by 68.
64 by 68 with the possibility of making it bigger or smaller. Right? So as we're doing this quilt, if you decide I've had enough, then what you've already done would make a great wall hanging, would make great table topper, it would make bags, fronts of bags. Anyway, so we are going to do a sew along. So if you guys want to join in and make the whole quilt, you can do that. If you just want to tune in and watch how we do it, we'll be here and available for you guys just to watch our techniques.
And the videos will be posted after, so if you can't watch through the day, they'll be there.
Yes. So I'm going to show you, because how many did we need? 20 fabrics?
The pattern calls for like an assortment of 20 fabrics.
So this is a great way to use up scraps, an awesome way to use up scraps, but it's also, if you want to do a color theme, you need 20 different colors. I'm just going to show you a bundle that I have in stock that would look super in this quilt, just to give you an, oh, the Selvage class is coming. I'm just explaining the fun right now. So, this is just an option, this bundle. I'm just showing you just to give you an idea of things to collect from either your stash, or you could order this bundle. This bundle has 40 pieces in it and sells for $200. Besides this bundle, the only thing you would need would be background fabric.
And border.
And border.
Like,
but if you wanted to do piano piece,
you could. And we're going to show a few options if you wanted to enlarge it with a different border or whatever.
Exactly.
I think the biggest cut out of the 20 in the pattern that they listed, other than the background, I think was 3/8. It ranged from a quarter meter to 3/8 that you would need. So you would be able to make it work with a fat quarter bundle or a quarter meter cut.
Yes, that 3/8 of a meter could be broken down into 2 fat quarters quite easily.
It could. Yeah.
So that is going to start.
But it's going to be a total mystery. You're not going to know what it looks like when it's put together until the end.
And if you get going and you don't like, you can back out.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep going and make a quilt, if you want to make the quilt a queen size or king size, we're going to give you options and explain to you how to do the thought process into adding borders on it to make it bigger. And give you options for borders, because my quilt will be bigger than 60 something. I'm going to make it a queen. So I don't know how I'm going to make it a queen yet, but I'm going to enlarge mine. Okay.
So that'll be fun.
Yes.
It probably won't be every week. It'll probably be like every other week or every 3 weeks or whatever.
So, to give everybody time to actually make the homework if you're following along to do it. So every other week, but things are pretty up in the air here, so it could be every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, but depending on the block, you might need a little bit more time. So are we ready to move into Selvage?
We're ready.
Okay. I am going to let Twyla take it over. Can you spread those apart?
We had a bit of excitement today. We lost our power.
Yes, we had no power.
There was an accident up the road. They clipped off the power line, the power pole. So we just got our power back.
Just in time to do this video. Okay.
So if anybody's been calling and there's been no answer, we lost our phones too.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So I'm just going to show you a couple little things and then just talk to you about some things that I learned about working with salvages. Not that I've done much. Oh, look, I brought this complete with cat hair. It's great. Okay, so this is just a wall hanging that I did. And
oh, that's pretty.
Well, it used up a lot of salvages, so I'm going to put my arms down here.
Yep.
So I decided when I went with this one, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I decided that I was going to try to break them up sort of in color schemes because I had been saving salvages for a while. So that's why I went with this look with the different colors. But you might be able to tell that this piece here with the chicken wire look, that is what I used as like a foundation piece of fabric that I sewed the actual salvages to. So that was as big as this, right?
That's one block.
That's one block right there. And then I put the four together.
So you sewed it to a piece of fabric?
I did, as a foundation piece. You, instead of using, because I was going to just use a plain here or whatever, and then I thought, no, I kind of like the idea of having like a low volume or whatever. And then this is just, those center flowers, of course, are like a Lori Holt type applique thing or whatever that I just
I just noticed that you've done a really big stitch around that flower.
I did. That's that big, what do they call it? That big
stitch?
Like quilting stitch or whatever, right?
That kind of adds to that flower.
Well, there's kind of a lot of that going on now, and I had never done it before, so I just thought I'd try it. But anyway, so I did learn. I had saved salvages for a while. The number one mistake I made is if you want to get a really good assortment of salvages and get like a really good look, you should cut a bit wider than what your first reaction is to cut. So just to show you, some of my initial ones I was only cutting probably like this wide. And that one works well on this because the color goes right to the end, so you still see it. But you need some assortment in width to try to get a different look going up through. So cut some a little bit wider if you're
because your strips aren't the same all through the...
No, and I like that look better. So basically, all this is... So this, I grabbed this piece of interfacing for my foundation piece because I didn't have... because it was sitting there, and I had just used it for something else. So that's what I'm using. It's just a piece of iron-on interfacing. And this one, I'm actually quilting right to the back. Now this one, I stitched to the top fabric, but not through to this one. That was added after with batting. Okay? So I'll get back to that in a minute. So this one, I'm going to just do... This is a quilt as you go. If you wanted to do like a pot holder or some type of a quilt as you go placemat, you could do this technique. Certainly you'd need different sizes. You know, you could use it different sizes. So this one doesn't have the fabric that you're going to see to leave a piece of it bare. This one, my intention is to go the whole way across with it, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to start down in your corner, and you're going to put a stitch there after, but your first thing, your raw edge is what, so if we were starting on this, your raw edge is going up here, and your finished edge is going to go down there. And then you're going to take your 1/4 inch seam across your raw edge. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to add your next piece, whatever you want, right? And you need to just put it down far enough. I stitched this first one just to hold it in place because there's nothing there to hold it, right?
Yeah.
But after that first one, you're good just stitching here, because this next one, you're then going to stitch right along there.
Oh, see,
You're no longer stitching up here. No.
I just want to show you.
You thought that was flapping in the wind? Or that you sewed it and flipped it?
No, flipped it up.
No, that's the whole point, right? That you just, so you can see here. Here's your fine stitch line, right?
So that's the edge of the, I did not know that.
Yeah. So, I just stitched this first one to get it into place, especially if you're dealing with a bigger piece of fabric or whatever.
Yeah.
Right up here where it's going to be hidden. But the rest, you're just going to lay that there and you're going to stitch just as close to that edge as you can. So, this is where I learned a few things. See, this selvage is beautiful with all the different colors, but you see that fringe?
Oh.
It looks quite nice. I don't mind the looks, but then you've got to be careful that your stitch stays up above that fringe because the fringe won't hold it, right?
Okay.
But the other thing I discovered after I used some fringe here, see?
Oh, let me see. Let me show them.
See there? I've got a light fringe there. I've got a light fringe there. Is that then if you're going to do any type of quilting on it, so if you want to take that to your machine and do just some free motion quilting on your machine, if it's a small piece, when you move that around, it picks that ruffle up as you're,
okay, it kind of catches in it.
Kind of catches in it, and it may actually make the stitch pull it back and stitch it down when you're quilting.
Oh.
So I am not sure if you were going to do that type of work on it that you would want to use the fringe. The other thing I was concerned about was if it was a pillow or being used for something like that, that every time you sat down, you were brushing against it, that eventually it's just going to be rolled back, that fringe, more so than the ones that you can stitch really close to the edge, right?
So when you collect fabrics, you collect
So from now on, I am personally probably going to stay away from the fringe, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But there's some beautiful,
I know,
some beautiful ones, like with the fringe, they look nice. Now, that being said, if you were going to use it for certain things, like a wall hanging that you're probably not going to be brushing up against or handling very much, I think you could get away with that and it would be fine. But, so look at all the neat things there are. Like you've got, I like putting the words because I think it adds some character to see the words and stuff on it, right? Isn't that neat?
That is cute.
So it's nice when you can get some of your colors in, but look at some of them, how many colors they have in them. Aren't they pretty with all the different colors?
They are.
And you can mix and match and they can be so scrappy and so fun. But I find you need to put that down about 1/4 inch to cover that raw edge and then stitch right along there.
Okay.
So the other thing you can use is just thin cotton, like a plain cotton. I have read online that there are people that use used dryer sheets. I don't think I would do that. That's just me.
Why?
I don't know. Like number one, I don't like the smell of dryer sheets. I find that the scent is very strong, but I know that a lot of people use it. You know, instead of purchasing fabric to use, but like a thin muslin, because that underneath layer does not need to be, you're just using it to have something to stitch to, right? So then these ones, after I put them together as my blocks, I then quilted. There's quilt bat in that, but I just did where it's a wall hanging. I just did that on my machine. So it's just got some straight, nothing fancy at all. So you could totally finish a project like on your home machine doing this.
That would make a cute front, like just one of those green panels.
A pillow?
Would make a great pillow, or even the front of a bag.
It would. Beautiful. So there's all kinds of things like that you can use. I have seen them do smaller blocks, like a 4-inch block, and then do like 9 patches out of them going in different directions and use those for the fronts of bags. You can actually, now guys, don't look at this too close because I'm telling you this was whipped up in one sweet hurry. I didn't even put zipper tabs on my zipper. But that is just a little bag done out of it, right? That's got the lining and it was just done to like a piece of iron-on interfacing like that.
You put Montreal Canadiens in that?
Well, no, my grandson's going to be very upset if he hears that you made fun of his Montreal Canadiens, because that's why I have that. I have a grandson that's fanatical about
I have a
them.
kid like that too.
So they make some really cute little projects. They make a fairly nice bag because that doesn't have anything real stiff. It's just got that, and it's still, because the Selvages are so stiff on their own, like they're stiffer than the main material, that you actually get, you know, a decent body out of it in a small bag. Now, in a big bag, I'd probably still use like a foam stabilizer that you could stitch right to your foam stabilizer, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Or whatever. Or you could quilt it right to it.
Yep.
You know, iron it down, quilt it right to it. But it's really fun. And you need a good assortment. Remember, when you're doing diagonals, however big your square is, it takes a much bigger strip to go
the whole length,
right? But you need a good assortment, because when you get down here, you don't want to waste a great big long strip either, right? So even cut some short ones for your corners, or you can go straight across. You don't always have to go on the diagonal, but it's a lot of fun to just work with them and save some pretty ones. Now I always have my eye out for pretty selvages. I'm always cutting them off. Summer, you could even go, you know, quite wide on something like that, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, just some ideas, but you definitely need a stabilizer to sew to. So pick either a thin muslin, piece of interfacing, piece of foam, whatever.
Okay.
And start from there. But it's lots of fun.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Twyla?
Sorry guys, I got a tickle in my throat.
Yeah, well, we just had those masks on.
Oh.
That always happens to you. So somebody asked, and I didn't answer it before, the sew along is going to start next Wednesday, right, Twyla? We're going to be ready to do
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Sounds
Our
good.
intent is to start the sew along next week. So if you guys want to start, we will have all the instructions then. Keep in mind, we're not showing anybody the quilt. It's going to be a mystery.
It is. Total mystery.
Yep.
But it's going to be fun.
Twyla gets to tell me what to do.
That'll be the best part.
All right, everybody. Ladies. Thanks for joining.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Yes, Jenny, you need 20 different colors. Well, you know what? If you only had 10 different colors, it really would work. You would just need more of those 10.
You would. Yeah.
They could easily just use 10 colors.
They could. Yeah.
It's
just
a
variety.
Yeah, a variety of color. Yeah.
You could.
Just if you're going to go less than 20, make sure you have more than a quarter meter.
Yeah. And background, I'm trying to think what it suggested for background. That was the other. Let me.
Don't let them see. Here, I got the camera on you.
You think they can see through me? Background, they're suggesting a good 4.
A good 4 meters. So that just makes a quilt too that's like 60 some wide. So if you're going to make queen, you're going to want more than 4 meters.
Yeah.
But I mean, then that again could be scrappy.
It could be scrappy.
That could be scrappy too.
It's the
and
type
that would look nice
it would
with
look
it.
very nice done in scrappy backgrounds.
Maybe all those remnants I rolled up, I could use my scraps.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So, just so anybody watches, we did get the indigenous panels. Do you want to hold that up? It's behind you. Yeah. That did come today through the mail. I did open it because I had a lot of people waiting. But we've had no power until like just before this video, so I haven't gotten a chance to message anybody. These are panels that I had pre-ordered, so if you've pre-ordered it, I'll be in contact with you. I do have a couple of extra ones, but they are $50. The money goes to help the Indigenous Society, so that's why the price. So if you guys want any, just make sure you message right away, because there's only like 2 or 3 left over from what I had coming in. Okay, so we will see you Friday night. Friday night's going to be an interesting sale. We have a lot of background fabrics, which really would be good for this quilt. A good way to get your cheap fabrics.
It would be very
because
good.
The fabric, the white on white fabric, is all going on sale for $10 a meter, and it's being sold in as $20 a 2 meter cut. Yeah. So if you guys want some background, keep in mind Friday night there is going to be lots. I think there's 11 different prints that we're going to have, and there's going to be some backing.
Perfect for this.
Yeah. So we will see you all Friday night. Thanks, everybody.
See you, ladies.
Bye-bye.